Hey guys, this is MattiAce and I'm coming at you here with my second site video since I got my new computer. This time, however, I'm going to be focusing on air to ground. And I will be using the light PPA, which is the dedicated air to ground nose gun or anti-infantry nose gun of the site. So now the first time that I'm approaching this landing pad, I'm coming from straight above. And the first thing that renders is this max. And with my first attack I don't get any kills, so I make this quick turnaround, get into hover mode while reloading, and now I start picking up the frags. Now pay attention to how the infantry players didn't render at first, but now that they have shown up, I can actually see them at quite far distance. Now I had already been here a couple of times, so they did expect me, and one burst max was enough to take me out. I also wanted to get a couple of C4 kills, but it didn't happen. Now for the next attack here you will see me coming in with a completely different approach. I first get a couple of kills at the Sunder that is deployed under the landing pad, and then I ascend up and I start killing off these Terran players that are attacking the base from the north. And this is kind of a three-way fight, only the Vanu Sovereignty doesn't really have any presence here. And one of the reasons is, of course, that the TR is pushing in from the same direction where we would be pushing in if we just had enough population. Now keep in mind, after I lost my first site, I actually spent about 15 or 20 minutes playing heavy assault in the biolab, attacking using the teleporters. So now the key with this approach that I'm doing here is that I want to be able to surprise the opponents and deal as much damage as I can before I start taking fire myself. Unfortunately for me this time, there are at least one Mossy that have spotted me. I start taking damage there, but I'm able to get a few shots off here before I have to leave. And that's the thing with the light PPA, is that if you're alone, if you've taken some damage, there's no way trying to pick a fight with an enemy ESF, especially not if you suspect it to have air-to-air loadout. And normally when I get hunted like this, the guy that is chasing me is very dedicated and really wants to take me out. Anyway, here comes the next attempt. I'm approaching from the same angle. I've seen this work a couple of times. I've done it with all three ESFs, all three nose guns, and I highly recommend it.
Stay alert! Enemy heavy nearby!
Now the things that I've pointed out in the past with my air-to-ground videos is that when I'm using the Banshee and the air hammer, is that with those two weapons I fly and I approach my enemies basically the same way. However, with the light PPA I fly very differently, and that's what you're seeing here. I try to maintain a further distance and I slowly move in hover mode sideways in order to avoid being shot back at. It's quite tricky to do actually, and what's really hard is to consistently maintain your aim on your target while consistently maintain the right distance. Now of course there's a lot of people that will say that anything that has to do with air to ground is very easy, and basically why they are saying this is a result of the frustration of being at the receiving end of this and a combination of not being able to do this themselves. Because the thing about flying in Planetside 2 is that it takes a lot of practice before you get successful with it. If you are in the progress of trying to learn how to fly and be successful with your ESFs, then I have quite a number of ESF tutorials, and the links to those tutorials will be found in the description below this video. Now I'm flying as engineer and I'm using safe landing, and why I'm not taking damage here has nothing to do with the safe landing actually. I was just lucky enough to land on the slope there and I didn't even lose any of the shield. Now safe landing does exactly what the name suggests, but not at that altitude. I actually tried to land on the top of the biodome, but of course I had a little bit too much momentum. Now the thing is that I've been away from the game for about 2 weeks, and whenever I'm away from the game for an extended period of time like that, that's when I come back to the game I have a couple of days when I can actually farm like this without getting crazy targeted. However, while this was going on, I was also forced to fly as air-to-air quite a bit, and I was targeted at least enough to make a 15 minutes video of it. Most of it was in the area of Mani Biolab here, and as I'm sure you understand, this fight lasted for quite a while. Now as you can see, the light PPA is quite useful at range, much more so than the Banshee and the Air Hammer. And this is something that you have to benefit from if you want to be successful with air-to-ground with the sight in areas where your opponents are actually shooting back at you. Oh, by the way, did you know this game actually has a few bugs? Check this out. Yeah, you didn't expect to see a bug in a Planetside 2 video? So now being successful with an ESF is something that is very controversial. If you do things like this, you will be called names, you will be flamed, you will be hated, and people that can't do what you can do, they will tell you how bad you are. Now for the playstyle that you see here, it is crucial that you have the external afterburners rather than a secondary weapon. Aside from that, I use the hover stability airframe, which is, in my opinion, the best choice for this playstyle, being that it gives you more vertical thrust and stronger air brakes. I also upgrade the ammo capacity and the magazine size. I have thermal, as I'm sure you can see, and this time I'm using flares in my utility slot. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. I will say thank you all for watching, and bye for now.
Has so much fucking territory. Like, how can the pop be even? And
well, they probably ghost capped it and then an alert ended, like the continent switch. And TR's like ghost capped the continent and they go, it'll get some.